organization. She joins us live from Nazareth. Ms. Bhutto, is Hamas at all responsible for the Israeli offensive as the United States is maintaining?
Absolutely not. This is again another attempt on the part of Israel and the United States to blame the victim rather than blaming the aggressor. It is really important to recognize that while everybody's calling for a renewal of the ceasefire, this was a unilateral ceasefire that Hamas had unilaterally declared and that hadn't been at all respected by Israel. In fact, they had continued their military assault on the people of Gaza all throughout the period of the unilateral ceasefire, and moreover, they had maintained a siege on the Gaza Strip for a period of more than 2 years. So really, if there's any party to blame for this, it's Israel, and I really hope that the United States stops blaming the victim and starts blaming the aggressor.
Well, and as long as Israel continues to have the unconditional support of the United States, how likely is it then that Israel will heed the calls of both the United Nations and the European Union to halt its offensive?
Is a war crime. It is a crime against international law, and it should be condemned by the United States and by the entire world. In fact, Israel should be prosecuted for the things that it's committing right now. Had the shoe been on the other foot, had it been the Palestinians who had killed 220 Israelis today, one can only imagine what the response would have been from the United States and from the European Union and from the United Nations. I really hope that rather than these nations continuing to allow Israel to be viewed as above the law, that it begins to enforce the law. And you're right that it's not likely that we're going to see any action on the part of the United Nations or on the part of the United States. And this is precisely the problem. It feeds into a cycle in which it allows Israel to perpetrate crimes and then creates a situation in which Palestinians feel that there is nobody that is protecting them. And that only breeds more and more violence.
Do you think that this violence could lead, though, to some sort of reconciliation with Fatah?
I do. If there's anything that is positive, which there is nothing so far today, is that I really hope that both sides begin to recognize, both sides being Hamas and Fatah, recognize that the only party that is benefiting from this division is Israel. It's not the Palestinian people, it's certainly not Hamas, and it's certainly not Fatah. And so there have been now renewed calls on the part of a number of different factions calling for renewed dialogue between the two. The main problem is going to be that as long as there are negotiations between Israel and the Abbas government, I think that is going to be unlikely, the ability to come together and to resolve differences and to come up with a national unity government. I think what's more important is that these sides now need to come together and jointly come together with a strategy as to how it is that they're going to resist the occupation and what they're going to do in terms of a strategy to end the occupation, rather than continue to have a strategy in which they're dividing one another.
All right, Deanna Bhutto live for us in Nazareth. Thank you. Now, condemnation of Israel's strikes on Gaza